Welcome. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Indivisible, with liberty and justice. All right, our first order of business is to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next up is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are commission action items unless otherwise noted. Is there anything that needs to be removed?
Madam President, I move approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. Motion passes. On the regular agenda, the first item is the University Drive reallocation request from Boise State University, request for approval. We will begin with a presentation by staff.
Good afternoon, Madam President, Commissioners. For the record, Christy Little, Development Services. This is a request for a lane reallocation or a reduction of lanes on University Drive from Boise State University. Boise State University has submitted a request to modify University Drive from Lincoln Avenue to Chrisway Drive as highlighted in red on this map. Between Capitol Boulevard and Lincoln Avenue, University Drive currently has 5 lanes, as shown in this map, 2 travel lanes in each direction, plus a center turn lane, on-street bike lanes, and attached sidewalk. This segment of University Drive is classified as a minor arterial and designated as a 5-lane town center arterial on the ACHD master street map. BSU would like to reduce the number of lanes on University Drive from 5 lanes to 3 lanes to provide wider bicycle lanes and wider sidewalks in this specific area of campus. Over the last 5 years, demand has been at an all-time high for Boise State University, and the need for additional on-campus housing and near-campus housing has increased tremendously. Sawtooth Hall is circled here on the map, and it was under construction in this area. But as you can see, it's located directly across the street from Boise State Student Union Building, and of course the main campus is on the north side of University Drive. As soon as the dorm opened, it was apparent to both Boise State and ACHD that there was a need for expanded pedestrian and bicycle facilities in this area in particular, with student feedback indicating at that time a very high level of concern. This was especially apparent at, and still is, at the Theater Lane University Drive intersection. And as soon as this dorm opened and the students started expressing concerns, Boise State and ACHD worked together quickly to enhance the crossing for pedestrians there at Theater and University. To provide infrastructure that meets the demand of high volumes of pedestrians and bicyclists, and to enhance safety, the university explored other options and what to do with this particular segment at University and the intersection there at University and Lincoln. So the university, in conjunction with their students, has developed a concept with 2 different treatments. So there's segment 1 and segment 2. So section 1 has 1 travel lane in each direction and a center turn lane, buffered bicycle lanes, a landscape strip, and detached sidewalks. As I've mentioned in previous work sessions, right now these are conceptual and Design details and specifics, if approved, will occur later. Section 2 is just the same, but in this instance, there's wider sidewalks and no landscape strip. BSU is also proposing to upgrade the University Drive Theater Lane pedestrian crossing. It meets warrants for a pedestrian hybrid beacon, PHB. Boise State and Kittleson have worked closely with ACHD over the last several years with regards to campus expansion and changes to campus circulation. Kittleson did a specific analysis to show that even with the lane reallocation or reduction, that the intersections and roadway segments will continue to operate within ACHD's planning thresholds and operational standards. Specific to bikes and pedestrians, Kittleson also did a level of traffic stress evaluation and found that the wider bike lanes and sidewalks and buffers will have a positive impact on bicycle and pedestrian user comfort and experience. With regard to vehicular impacts, the analysis also showed that less than 5% of traffic that enters the campus at University Drive travels all the way through to Broadway. And from Broadway, less than 10% of that traffic travels all the way through to Capitol Boulevard. So that tells us that 90 to 95% of the traffic on University Drive has a campus destination. So although it's classified as an arterial, it's really not functioning as such. Kittleson also prepared this slide and did a review of daily traffic counts from 2011 to 2018, which shows minimal increase. This was interesting, and at first glance makes you wonder, because we all know how quickly the university is expanding and their enrollment continues to grow. However, with that, there's been a significant increase in housing around the campus. So on the west side of Capitol Boulevard, for example. So those students are no longer driving to campus. Those students are walking and biking to campus. The university also has worked closely with VRT, and they've expanded their shuttle services. And on campus, they've also enhanced pedestrian and bicycle facilities. So they do see that a reduction in vehicle trips and an increase in pedestrian and bicycle activity in and around the campus. So these are peak hour volumes. ACHD's planning, the vehicular volumes are in purple, and the pedestrian volumes, which include bikes, are in orange. So ACHD's planning threshold for a 3-lane arterial, which is what is proposed with this lane reallocation, is 675 vehicles in the peak direction for level of service D and 720 for level of service E. And existing volumes today are well below those planning thresholds. All of our intersection movements are operating at level of service C or better, and with the proposal, those will continue to operate within acceptable planning thresholds. This is a slide we reviewed in one of the work sessions that Kittleson also prepared regarding, this was just to demonstrate the level of stress for pedestrians and how it will improve with the proposal. And as you can see, there have been some pedestrian crashes in this particular segment. Just reinforces the need for some improvements and for some modifications to operations in that particular area. BSU will be paying for the design and any modifications to the roadway. They'll also be required to enter into a license agreement with ACHD for any landscaping or fencing or any improvements in the right-of-way. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the request. BSU has committed to include, continue to include students as they go from the concept design to the specific design phase. That could include their planning students and their engineering students. And again, they've been working closely with the student body, the ASBSU, and we've received a letter from them in support. And then from there, BSU would be required to submit civil drawings to ACHD for review and approval before any modifications were to occur. And if the commission approves this lane reduction, this also includes then a need to modify the master street map to reflect the change. So with that, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you. Are there questions for Ms. Little?
Good report.
No? All right. Do we have someone from Boise State to make a presentation, or?
Madam President, members of the commission, I'm Randy McDermott with Boise State University, 1910 University Drive, Boise, Idaho, 83725. Mostly I want to come up here and say thank you. I feel like we've been treated very fairly through your process. Your staff has been extremely helpful in helping us prepare our materials and information for your consideration. And we greatly appreciate the work sessions that we were able to attend to talk to you about the details and answer your questions, as well as update you on changes at Boise State University over the years. What we are bringing you is a proposal that we've discussed internally at Boise State quite a bit with our students and with our faculty and staff. And as noted in the letter from Boise State President Trump that was sent over to you, the design phase, once you approve our ability to move forward in the design phase, will become even more participatory, bringing in comments again from across campus, as well as we'd be happy to include neighborhood associations in that outreach. Drew Alexander is here with me from Boise State. He loves nothing more than to attend neighborhood meetings. He does it regularly. We are regular participants in the neighborhoods around Boise State University, and we want to be good partners with them. So we will most definitely be sharing any plans that we have with that group and
Great.
others. With that, we support the staff recommendation and be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Are there questions from the commission?
I just had one question. Thank you very much for coming. With your outreach, you mentioned going forward, you're going to be meeting with the homeowners associations. Have you done that up to this point as well? Were they included in any of the outreach meetings that you've had to date, or just merely the faculty and students?
President Arnold, members of the commission, way back with our master plan discussions, there have been changes to this roadway that were part of those conversations, but that's long enough ago that I think we would want to take it back to them. I would say that these specific drawings probably have not been presented to them in recent times, but they certainly would be as we move forward, and before we move forward, quite frankly.
I do think that's important.
We agree. It's a partnership that we value and we are working on all of the time.
Absolutely.
So we certainly don't want any surprises there either.
Madam President?
Yes.
So we received a letter from the city of Boise with some recommendations they have for the design. Have you received a copy of this letter yet?
I don't have a copy of that letter.
Well, I would assume you'll get it and then hopefully pay attention to the comments that they have in terms of, the width of this and how to plan for that. So, but thank you for coming.
Any other questions?
Madam President, I just want to thank you for the tremendous work. This is probably more comprehensive analysis of a segment of road. It really does indicate the kind of, when there's been major investment in transit and bike facilities and housing, closely in housing, it really does have an impact on the motor vehicle traffic in the area. You've done a lot, not just for the campus, but for the neighborhoods in the area and for the city of Boise, reducing the demand for motor vehicle use. And I think that's reflected in the data that's been produced, and it's a good example. Representing this area, there's neighborhoods surrounding it they're very familiar with and actually appreciate the outreach that the university's done to those neighborhoods, because the university is a huge asset And there's a lot of student housing and faculty housing and others in and around that area. And I don't think anyone views University Avenue as a through street, even though it is a public through street. They see it as a campus street, and that's how it's reflected. People use Boise Avenue or Front and Myrtle as the through streets, and you've seen that in the pattern. So I really appreciate the effort that's gone into this and the amount of travel. One day we'll change our language a little bit. Travel lanes have to be more specific. Motor vehicle travel lanes, bicycle travel lanes, pedestrian travel lanes. They're all travel lanes. Everyone's using them to travel, and a safe mobility. A safe, a high stress bike lane's not a bike lane at all. And I really appreciate the investment. You don't have to. It's public road to put all the money into making these improvements, but you've made that offer, and I appreciate that. That means some of our resources can be used in other parts of the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Same as what Commissioner Hanson said, and I've enjoyed being invited to be part of this process so that I could understand it better, and the entertainment involved for me was kind of more like a Keystone Cops scenario, but it's been appreciated.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to address this item? Seeing no volunteers, guess we can discuss it among the commission.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the request by Boise State University for lane reallocation as outlined in the staff report.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
I made my comments.
I just have a couple of comments. I think Kittleson has done a great job of putting together the analysis and information for us, and I appreciate all the effort and information that Boise State has put into this. I think it probably is safer for students to go down this route. My only concern is that normally with a change of this magnitude, the commission would put it on a night agenda to afford the public an adequate opportunity to weigh in on an item like this, and we haven't done that, so I'm a little concerned about that, but guess we'll see where it goes. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay? Motion passes. Next item, the public hearing to receive public testimony for a resolution declaring real property to be surplus and directing the sale of the surplus property. And it's property located at 3600 West Hill Road. So I'll open the public hearing and we'll begin with a staff presentation.
Madam President, Commissioners, for the record, my name is Lori Baird. I'm with the Real Estate Department. Today is the time, date, and place that was advertised to hold a public hearing where anybody could come forward today to testify why we should not dispose and sell of this property located at 3600 West Hill Road. This property was acquired with the 36th Street Hill Road Catalpa project, and what's left of it is no longer needed by ACHD. There's just a small portion here with a permanent easement and a slope, so there's maybe 7,500 square feet left. The appraised value came in at $84,000. Before we are authorized to move forward to sell the property, we are required to hold a public hearing where anyone can come forward to testify. If nobody comes forward, we are then required to offer the property to adjoining property owners to purchase. If they choose not to purchase, then we would move forward with a public sale. With the public sale, the staff would recommend that it be held by sealed bid auction. We would not sell it for less than the minimum appraised value. The highest bidder would be required to pay 10% down the day of the auction and close within 90 days. Staff recommends that the commission adopts resolution 2283 and find the property to be surplus property and to establish the procedure for the sale.
All right. Are there any questions?
I just have a comment. You were in our pre-commission meeting, so I think you heard my thoughts. With the 36th Street extension, I wanted to ensure that disposition of this property was in no way going to have a negative impact should that move forward. And as you heard, we're in the process of formalizing a development agreement. So prior to the meeting, I spoke with Mr. Inselman, and he assured me that in no way whatsoever the disposition of this property would negatively impact that should it happen in the future. So I just want to state that for the record.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Anyone else? No? All right, this is a public hearing, so I'll open it up to testimony from the public if there is anyone who would like to address this item. Seeing no volunteers, I will close the public hearing. Commission?
Madam President, I move approval of resolution number 2283, declaring the real property located at 3600 West Hill Road to be surplus property, and determining that the sale of that real property is in the best interest of the district and the public, and that this authorizes the sale of that real property according to the procedure that staff has stated.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Nothing, Madam President, other than the fact I would like my comments reflected in our minutes.
Okay. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item is Resolution 2281, vacation and exchange of public right-of-way known as West Twisted Creek Street on North Black Cat Road. This is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing and we'll begin with the staff presentation. Mr. Serdar.
Madam President, Commissioners, for the record, David Serdar, Right-of-Way Supervisor, ACHD. ACHD has received a vacation request from the Jump Creek Subdivision Homeowners Association. The area to be vacated is West Twisted Creek Street, and it is a short street located off of North Black Cat Road. This street is approximately 0.19 acres. The approximate size of the future dedication is 0.45 acres. Jump Creek Subdivision Homeowners Association has paid the application fee. This is a map depicting West Twisted Creek Street. Excuse me, that's kind of a tongue twister.
Yes.
West Twisted Creek, which is actually here in green, and the proposed Malta Drive, which is up here in red. This is the site map, a closer view of the Twisted Creek, the Twisted Creek Street. This was a required road by ACHD. This road will remain open and in control of ACHD until Malta Drive is constructed. It is currently the secondary access to the subdivision. When this new section of the subdivision is completed, they will construct and dedicate this portion for the new access. It is staff recommendation for Resolution 2281 to be approved, and I will remain standing for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Serdar. Are there questions or comments? No? Okay. This is a public hearing, so I will open this up for anyone who would like to address this item. Do we have anyone? Nope. Oh, no volunteers. So I'll close the public hearing. Commission? What's your pleasure?
President, I move approval of resolution 2281 with vacation exchange of public right-of-way known as West Twisted Creek Street on North Black Cat Road.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. Motion passes. All right, that takes care of the items on the regular agenda with the exception of public communications. And it looks like we have one person who signed up and indicated you wanted to speak. If you'd like to come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Christopher Colby Spath. I live at 1503 North 11th Street, Boise, 83702. I'm reluctant to testify because I'm a very passionate person, and sometimes my passion is misinterpreted as criticism. I live on 11th, and I work on 12th. And I doubt that many other people spend more time on 11th Street. I ride my bike pretty much every day. I ride to work, to volunteering things and stuff. I also like to say really quickly that I'm here on behalf of myself. Some of you might know me through my work or volunteering. I am not here on that behalf. I went to the open house at Camel's Back for the 11th Street Bikeway, and I was a little shocked and disappointed. When, back in November, a lot of us were at the Leadville inauguration presentation, and it was a really wonderful day. We were talking about Leadville, the talk of Cassia Bikeway, the Shoshone Bikeway, the Kootenai Street reverberation was in the air, and there was a lot of positive thoughts about biking and walking through Boise. A lot of the local press covered the Leadville inauguration, and they combined it with the new talk about the 11th Street Bikeway. And in that press coverage, which you can find online, KTVB has a video for it, Boise Dev did a story, the Statesman did a story. It was all about the ridges to rivers, the Camel's Back to the river connection, Greenbelt connection of the 11th Street Bikeway. So when I went to the open house and saw that the bikeway had been halved and was no longer this connection, this rivers to ridges, this Camel's Back to the river connection, I was really shocked. And I asked people from ACHD and I asked people from Kittleson what was going on, and all they said to me was, talk to the commission. So I'm here to talk to the commission. In the past, I have contacted ACHD, the city, CCDC, and ITD about the dangers of 11th Street. And there are many, and I won't go into them. If somebody wants to talk to me about them afterwards, that's fine. But I really feel that the original bikeway, and I'm a little bit of a map hoarder, so the original bikeway, that map went all the way to the river, and it split in half. This was 2 miles. It's now down to 1 mile. And it seems to me that the easy half was kept, and the hard half was thrown away. There's a lot of dangers below State Street on the 11th Street. There's very few ways to get through downtown Boise safely on a bike. One of those ways, A Street, is often blocked by events in the Grove, Saturday during the day at the Saturday market. You know, other routes on 15th or 16th, on 6th Street, 3rd Street aren't really nearly as safe. I'm not naive. I understand that there's problems with other agencies. You know, we dealt with this in 2017. We dealt with this in the building the Pioneer Pathway. And some help was given at that time, but not very much. I would love it if ACHD embraced these challenges and extended that bikeway all the way to the river. Built bike lanes on 11th all the way to the river, figured out a way with ITD, with CCDC, with the city to embrace the connection to the Pioneer Pathway, which now extends all the way through Jump to Broad and to Bodo. We really need to do something, especially with that intersection, and also with the dangerous nature of the intersection at 11th and Front, which sends northbound cars directly into the bike lane. Someone's gonna get hurt at that intersection. That intersection, the bike lane juts out 6 more feet above Front than below due to car parking. So when cars drive north in that right-hand lane, they drive straight into that bike lane. If you are riding your bike on Pioneer Pathway, southbound, it's okay. All you have to do is watch out for the constant right-turning cars. But if you're going north on the Pioneer Pathway, you stop there and you really have no access to that bike lane, which is kitty corner to you right there. You have 3 different turning lanes of cars going in front of you when you try to access that bike lane. A smart cyclist will get off that pathway at Miller Street, perhaps, or not even get on it and go straight up 11th, because it's really dangerous to try to access that bike lane. So my hope is that ACHE reconsiders this, embraces this more ridges to rivers, greenbelt, camel's back philosophy, and embraces the challenges of doing this. Thank you.
Are there questions or comments for him?
Oh, I just want to say thank you. That was very well put. I raised those concerns in a work session a couple months ago, but what I found
I
out.
also want to say, I'm sorry, that if you look at online at ACHD and you look at the map of the new 11th Street bikeway, there's no mention that it was once twice as long. There's no reasoning anywhere out there, as far as I could find, of why this was changed or shortened or anything. I, as a citizen, as a voter, as a taxpayer, if ACHD came out and said, you know, we wanted to do more, but we couldn't afford it, or ITD got in our way, or something like that, I'd be like, I get that, I understand. But the fact that you can't find any of that data, and you have things online that say 11th Street, 92% yes. That 92% yes probably wanted the bikeway below state. When it says, pay attention to difficult crossings, and it says Fort and Hayes, I'm pretty sure that Myrtle and Front are also difficult crossings that these people that filled out this forms online were talking about. And I'd love to be able to see, if possible, that data and what other people were concerned with. Okay. Any questions?
Questions?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
We cannot take any action in public communications because it's not noticed as an agenda item, but I think we can ask our staff to follow up with you and perhaps provide some information back to the commission on what transpired there. And I'll have Director Wong let you know who the appropriate person is that would need to follow up. But thank you very much for coming. Is there anyone else who would like to address the Commission in Public Communications? Yes, please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Christo Jorgensen. I live at 2000 North 20th Street, Boise, Idaho 83702. I'm here to request a barrier-protected bike lane along the full length of Harrison Boulevard, and my reasons for the request are as follows. This is a major artery connecting the North End and Hill Road to downtown and the Bench via 16th Street, as well as the Greenbelt. A barrier-protected bike lane would differ from a door zone bike lane as there is on 15th Street, or a share bike lane like the proposed bikeway on 11th Street, in that it would allow non-expert cyclists to feel confident that they would be safe riding their bikes along that path. Furthermore, with the right design, a barrier-protected bike lane could serve to enhance the historic elements of Harrison Boulevard rather than detract from it, which I feel that the free car parking currently is doing. I spoke with ACHD's Brooke Green, who proposed that the free parking was necessary for traffic calming. And my response to that would be that a barrier-protected bike lane would do the same, and in fact a better job of traffic calming along that pathway. Furthermore, it would increase pedestrian visibility, and a pedestrian was hit there only a couple weeks ago, I believe, likely because the car parking does obscure the view of pedestrians trying to cross the street. I ride Harrison Boulevard every single day, and there's rarely more than 10 cars parked on each side at any given time. The people living on Harrison do have access to parking behind their homes via the alley. And there's plenty of other parking around, just around the corners from their homes on the other streets. So, yeah, I guess I think that this that a barrier protected bike lane would serve the uses of the neighborhood and the city better, as it would reduce traffic along that way by encouraging people to use scooters or bikes who live in the North End or on Hill Road to get downtown instead of their cars. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there questions or comments, Fran? No?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I guess I do have one question.
Okay.
When speaking with Brooke, I asked what the process is for requesting something like this, and she said to speak with the commission, and I'm wondering if there's anything else I need to do to make a formal request for a bike lane.
Okay. We'll have Director Wong talk with you about that, and he and Brooke Green will give you some input on exactly how to get it on a commission agenda.
Okay.
Okay?
I would encourage you to come to the Bike Advisory Committee. They meet the first Monday of every month, 6 o'clock here, and they weigh in on quite a number of issues.
I will. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming. Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission today? Seeing no volunteers, meeting is adjourned.